Welcome to Cloud Moon New Beginnings, Episode 13. Today, I'm very lucky to share with you a conversation of myself and my friend Chimyo Atkinson. Chimyo is an ordained Soto Zen Priest. After our conversation, Chimyo reads from some of her writings. Thank you for joining us. And thank you very much, Chimyo, for collaborating with me here. I was in a shop one time and there's this music playing, and I thought it was like Ella Fitzgerald or some other really gutsy, most likely Black woman's voice. And I talked to in my mind, by all my preconceptions. And I went to the lady in the shop and I said, wow, this is really beautiful. I said, who is this? And she said, Rod Stewart. I was like, Rod Stewart? No. And I checked into it as like American Classics or something. He does his couple of albums out. Oh my God. If his voice wasn't made for that kind of music, he's just like full of this romance and this emotion and all that. And I just started thinking about how much, we can think we know, or we can come from our, preconceived ideas about who the person is behind the voice when we can't see them. How embedded, culture is in our voices. And so, I was thinking about you and me and, your experience living in the United States and my experience, the experience of being a Black woman in the United States. And I know the experience of being a white woman in the South in the United States. And my friend from Germany knows the experience of being a foreigner in America. And even in one family, each person is unique, And it just makes me wonder, why are we so afraid of diversity when it's even in our own family?
Well, if we really, really embraced it, imagine all the music that would be made and understand the music that we've already made. Music, not just music in the art sense, but just the music of getting on a train in New York City and hearing all those voices and what that sounds like, along with the rocking and the rolling of the train. That's the music of that space and that time. And I think of, I was telling somebody, I told her, I said, I'm no longer coding. And I had to explain to her what coding is. Coding meaning when you're a Black person, there's a really funny movie about it. When you're a Black person and you want a job and you go in and you say, excuse me, thank you very much. And your voice changes and you sound like whatever the standard is.
Right.
You go to school and you use certain words that you wouldn't normally use in your house, in the particular music of this house or this neighborhood. And I was telling her I stopped doing that. And one time I was still in North Carolina and I picked up the phone. I was talking to my cousin and she said, girl, you sound just like Fanny is my grandma. And I miss my grandma. I miss her talking to me. I miss my mother talking to me and the way she talked.
Right.
And it's like, when I do that, whatever part of her is part of my voice, I'm denying it. And I'm not letting it be, whatever it is. I never thought I sounded like her, but maybe I do.
Right.
My cousin knew her much better than I did. She grew up right next door to her. So why am I denying that music its expression? And something in me just said, hell, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
And, sometimes you fall into it anyway because it's a lifetime's worth of training that, this is right and this is wrong, you know,
Right.
and this sounds intelligent and this sounds ignorant.
Right.
And, all those judgments of it. My grandma wasn't ignorant and she was real smart. She didn't have the education that I have.
Right.
She was smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Ablution, Yemaya. Just after dawn, my estranged child approaches, shuffling barefoot through cold sand. She stands aloof at the edge of the water. She listens. She hears the voice of the surf, tastes the sweat of the earth as the salt sea mist rises with the sun. I reach for her. She leaps backward. I will be patient. No doubt the voices of her step-parents compete. There were rumors of the cold, the deep, and wild chaos. This is a willful child, willful and intelligent. I need not change my voice to her. She would hear the low rumblings behind my whispers and coos. She would know there is no healing without pain, that loss is requisite to discovery. She cocks an ear to the half-remembered language of the waves. Her nostrils flare at the scent of a faraway home. I wait. Up on the mountain, I peered down at the gravel at my feet on the narrow road above the monastery. A gigantic blue worm writhed there, its dimensions more like a snake than a worm to my eyes. The creature was just going about its business in the rain-soaked forest near the shiitake farm. I was just going about mine, I thought, when its strangeness stopped me in my tracks, like nothing I'd ever seen or imagined could exist. Terrified and fascinated, I was in Wonderland. I was finally here on Earth with all its possibilities. When I came to myself, stepped over the worm and continued my afternoon stroll back to the temple, I kept looking down for more quote-unquote monsters. I encountered no others that day, but I knew that amazing being was not the only one. I knew there were other strange creatures behind the trees that had not been a part of my consciousness before I made it to Japan. I am not about to compare myself to a worm, as magnificent as a worm can be. However, I am accustomed to being perceived as a strange one, regardless of whether or not I am in my natural environment. I'm a descendant of African peoples living in America. I am a Buddhist. I am a woman. All of these statements have some meaning for whoever. What they have meant for me has been hardship, joy, pride, and self-defense, falling into mental, physical, financial, social, etc. abysses and climbing out again and again. It has meant crossing the road, minding my own business, and finding myself the object of disgust, fear, fascination, ignorance, apathy, violence, or just plain disregarded. Up on the mountain above the monastery, I experienced freedom. I belonged to no race, no nation, no planet even. I was able to be here in no capacity but that of being. In my existence prior to the monastery, I have been defined. Shy, black, female, poor. On the mountain, I sang to the top of my lungs and listened to that voice echo over rice fields and temple roofs like a free bird's call, and I was nobody's anything. This feeling may have lasted for only as long as I was able to hear that sound, but the experience strengthened my resolve to practice. It still reverberates through my life so far. This, I think, is the liberation we all seek.
Thank you, Chimyo. I had to look up the word ablution. It looks like it means purification by water. And Yamaya is a goddess from Africa, the mother of the oceans. She is nurturing and protective, the mother of humanity. Find out more what Chimyo is up to at her website, which can be found in the comments below this video, and as well a reference to the Rod Stewart music that we spoke of in the beginning. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful week. Cloud Moon New Beginnings. A new post every Saturday.